carb rebuild time for the Gen 1 Fireblade. When a replacement used set is £1,500, prices can vary. Doesn't mean somebody won't come up with 400 quid, 700 quid. At the moment, best I can find is 1,500 quid plus 60 quid postage, and they're not rebuilt. I have got all the seals. The problem with these carbs is I've had the bike idle, so you might have seen that in previous videos, but never actually stuck my fingers in here yet. I don't know how old those diaphragms are, so they're going to get replaced. But we had a problem with when fuel was coming in and coming up to this T-piece here, it was leaking fuel. And we can tell the bike's had that problem for a while because here it is, all destroying the paint, and that's where the T-piece would have sat. Got a replacement one of these on the way, I can't wait, and a gasket. I was going to do something with this one, but the more I look at it, the better a replacement seems. I'm gonna have that water pump off as well. So I got replacement T-pieces. I got gaskets, but I didn't just get gaskets for these. I got gaskets for here, here, this T-piece, and I have a full rebuild kit on the way, which is plenty of money. And when I say plenty of money, that is plenty of money, and which I'm trying to avoid. So I'll pull these apart now. Always use a JIS screwdriver. So you can use your own screwdrivers, okay, and all you'll do is you'll chew everything up. So use a JIS screwdriver, assuming that the carbs have never been interfered with before. If I knew anyone that was good at anodizing and that, I would have all of this disassembled and send them off for anodizing. But this piece of rubber here is called a diaphragm. I don't remember them being that original shape. Even though I'm replacing them, if you were going to keep yours, get a really strong light and take your diaphragm and run it over the light, and you'll see any minute tears. We're doing okay here. So see the bottom of the needle there is all dirty. And fair enough, it doesn't have to be dirty, it's old. That needle goes right down into there, and that is called an emulsion tube. So a quick toolbox talk on how these work. Diaphragms just allow these pieces of plastic and sometimes very, very light metal to move up and down. You've got a needle on the bottom which is tapered. So you know, it's thick at the top and gets thinner at the bottom. And that needle goes down into your carb body, into there. That's called an emulsion tube. And that tube there will be perforated, and fuel from the float bowl will want to gush up that tube, but the needle will be blocking it. The needle's going to be down in that tube, blocking the fuel from coming up. Then as you open the throttle and the engine is causing more air to come in, lifts this bit of plastic up, the needle rises, and effectively fuel just comes rushing up the needle and then is atomized right here. So there's your butterfly valves at the back there. So as they open, air is rushing in. See that? The little tube right there. Emulsion tube. Petrol's going to spray up, atomize. That's why the butterfly valves look so beautiful and clean, because they've been just basically been cleaned by petrol all their lives. We'll see what happens the more I take these apart. So here's what I'm calling number 2. Oh, hey, get up there. Just have a quick look at its needle. Carburetors have to be clean. So this diaphragm's not feeling too perky. See how stiff it is, and luckily I'm replacing it. So dirty needle, kind of a stiff, unresponsive diaphragm. One of the things that I do is I just make a mental note of things. So I've got my 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm calling them. That's my rather cute, crude T-pieces going in. And then I'm just mentioning that I have a leak here, which is there. And as I find anything else, I'll just kind of mention it. But I'll also be taking measurements. So for instance, these are the idle adjustment screws, and I'll be taking their measurements and comparing them to what they should be. So what they're allowing is fuel to bypass that emulsion tube, and you can see it's got its own little tube there, and it's just enough fuel that atomizes out of that tiny little hole there, that's enough to make your motorcycle idle. So when you're at 1200, 1300 RPM, whatever you're at, depending on your motorcycle, this isn't doing anything. This is effectively blocked off. The butterfly valves are closed-ish, and that is allowing a little bit of fuel in just so that your bike can run. And then once you start opening the throttle, once you allow these butterfly valves to open, gosh, these springs are tight. There we go. Butterfly valves start to open, and the diaphragm will allow that piece of plastic to rise with a needle in it, and then fuel will mix with the air. You get more fuel coming out of these lovely little trumpets. These are being replaced because they're rock hard. Look at these. Problem child. Everything else is coming apart nicely, but look at that one. A lot of water has gotten there, so I can't get my screwdriver into it, so there's absolutely no point in me turning the screwdriver. So I might start by using a pick inside of there to try and pull out as much as I can before I dare try undoing it. Get a pick and start digging it out. Just get as much detritus out of there as you can. It's happening. Maybe I'll get the screwdriver in there and release it. See if we can get the screwdriver in there. Get it to come out. I had to push. I needed to hold the carbs and push. Yeah, no drilling out required. Nice. And again, another prolapsed. That one's no good. This is always a sad bit. So I can't get these off. So I'm going to use the heat gun and heat them up and see if we can prise them off. They're lovely indeed. Trivia, I'm the guy that does the carb rebuilds for many local workshops. Just in case you were curious. I got complimented today, a carb set bank that I'd rebuilt 15 years ago was arranged for drop off for a rebuild. 15 years they lasted, not bad. Literally had to prise it off, it's so hot. I thought touching the carbs would be okay, but no. These are still pretty warm. And that's only because modern motorcycle techs don't know anything about carbs. So they understand air-fuel ratios and remapping and all that sort of good stuff, but they don't understand carburetors. So the larger workshops send them to me. Now I want to take some readings from the pilot screws. So these are calculated in turns out, and I'm going to have to calculate it in turns in to see which. They should all be the same. So if we get different readings, something's moved or been adjusted. Half, 1, half, 2, half, 2.5. Pilot. These are what run your tick over, remember? They're the ones that lead to those tiny little holes there that allow a little bit of fuel through so that your motorcycle can tick over. That's what these do. Obviously this is in a fully closed position. If this was true, your motorcycle would not run. Okay. Half, 1, half, 2, and it was like, there wasn't 2.5 that was like 2.2, wasn't 2.5. I always put the top back on because I hate them evaporating away. Right, here we go. Half, 1, half, 2, and at less, so I'll say 2.2 as well. It wasn't quite 2.5. What you got here? Half, 1, half, 2, and that was over, so it was like 2.7. I happen to know that the UK specification is 3, so that would be 3 turns out on each one. So this is running like California spec. So now I want to know what actual, so now we've sussed out that there's something wrong there. Yeah, it seemed to idle okay. Are the jets the same? Are they the correct UK jets, or are they restricted ones? Are they what are they? We're going to find out. I'm going to be very, very naughty here and tell you already I've got a DynoJet kit and it's in like 3 days away, so I'm going to soup this bike up. Somebody said to me on Twitter, "Oh, you don't want to do that. They're really powerful machines and people can't handle them." Mate, I ride an R1. That's like my daily burner. So yeah, I think I'll be all right on a Carby 900, but I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Someone's been here before me. Oh, I love this part of the job. I love it. It's like a little bit of detective work. All right, check it. So we've got screws here holding the float bowls on. Yeah, and then right, hey, two hexy bobbers, and then why? What's going on here? So yeah, so obviously somebody's gone in here. Maybe they've retapped them. I couldn't tell you until we pull it out, but that just shows that somebody's been here at some point in its past. For better or worse. Oh, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Let's skip to the good bit. Not bad, eh? Not bad. Hello, my beauties. Not bad at all. This is the one that goes to that emulsion tube, the one in the centre here. If I can quite instantly crack it off. So this will be your emulsion. This is going to be your pilot. The pilot as in that jet there fuels this little thing here. This jet here goes to an emulsion tube and it powers that little oodie bob in there. Yeah. Now these are a pain. You've got to be so careful when you undo them. Oh, I'm going to get it. Okay, it's a bit of a shame because as I undid it, it took the emulsion tube with it. And since I've talked so much about emulsion tubes, you may want to have a look at one. Here you go. So everything's upside down, literally. That will be this, in reality, that'll be this way up. And fuel will be sucked up through here. Here's the correct orientation. So that jet there is removable. I'll have a crack at getting that off in a second. And it only allows a certain amount of fuel to flow through it. Comes up into the emulsion tube, but you've got that needle. So as that needle is raised, yeah, more fuel can get up and spray all over the needle and then get atomized. Just in case you were curious. It's not blocked, you can see through it. But I'll try releasing that jet from the emulsion tube and we'll see what jet that is. So to accomplish this, I'm going to use some pliers. You can use a spanner if you've got a spanner that's small enough, but I don't. So I'm just going to use some pliers. I don't have any flat pliers, and then I'm going to use a screwdriver that's wider than the jet, because what I don't want to be doing is using something small and then having the edges of the jet destroyed. So pick something bigger and let's see if we can get this jet to, there we go. I didn't think it was going to go. And then we can unscrew the jet from the emulsion tube. Obviously this all needs cleaning because it's grim. And then we've got to look nice and close and see what jet size this is. I can read something on the side there, but we might need to use a bit of zoom, so let's use zoom. So in the UK you might want to use a 115 jet. I know for the import bikes that I've worked on, they're 120s. So see if we can use super zoom on my phone. All right, there we are. So it's a 115. So a UK jet with US pilot settings. This bike's going to run so beautifully when I finish with it. I might just build a pilot jet as well and just see what size that is. And you'll say, now where's the importance to any of this? Understand what you're working with. There's no point in me disassembling all of this, cleaning it, reassembling it, yeah, and the bike goes back to the workshop, they put it all back together and the owner goes out or they go out on test ride and the bike's the same. It's still got this flat spot, it still has the old issues the bike always had. Once you understand a little bit about jetting, you will learn really, really quickly to go back to OEM, yeah, and you should have a flawless finish, or go crazy and do dyno jet stuff, because dyno jets can get a little bit fussy with air intakes. For instance, I had a Kawasaki Zephyr and we dyno jetted it, and then we had a problem. There was just too much of something going on, and so it was giving more fuel, and you would think it wanted more air, so I put cone air filters on it, and it blooming hated it. And we sat there and we did this little experiment where we taped the cone air filters off one by one, just taped them up and only allow a little bit of air through, and it ran flawlessly all the way through the RPM range. It was amazing. So carbs are weird, and you'd say, well, the opposite should happen, but it was just, that's how it went. So I'm learning already that we're incorrect pilot settings. We've got an OK UK jet. I'll see what the pilot jet is, and then I'm going to do the rest. And I won't bore you with the going through it, because you love listening to my voice, until it's all laid out here. By the power of Grayskull, it's starting to look more disassembled. Keeping everything in order, and that is my code for the original. We're learning. Remember I said about the jets? 115 for the main jets, 40 for the pilots. The two centre cylinders are running 120s and 40s, and that one. So what we're getting here is less fuel left and right, more fuel in the center. That's to cool these two cylinders. That is not how this motorcycle should be. Luckily, I've got new jets on the way because I'm putting a dyno jet kit in, but that is not how the motorcycle should be running. And that explains why these two, the 1 and 4 are really, really close to each other on the pilot settings, and 2 and 3 are right on each other for the pilot settings, because whoever did it knew the jets were different. So there you go. You think that nobody's been in there. I am going to re-tap those two because I don't like the idea of those Hexima bobbins going in there. And then I'll pull out the pilot. So the pilot adjusters. In here should be 2 washers and a spring, and they're notorious little buggers to come out. So I've still got plenty to do, and I'll just keep working through it and making a note of everything I find. Not particularly dirty, is it? And you'll be like, that's all there is? No. In there's a tiny little washer, but then there should be a spring, sorry. Then there should be a washer. There we go. There's a little spring. And then I should have a shiny washer and a black washer. Let's have a little sticky. Oh, yeah. What else did I notice? Somewhere here, let's see if we've got some light on it. There you go. Look at that. I say look at that, and I'm not pointing at anything. This has hairs. I don't know if you can see the hair moving there. That had hairs on it. So it's a needle, and its job is to, with the float, to block off incoming fuel. And that one there has got these like really fine human hairs attached to it. So whether the person that did this last was a hairy ape. If you know the person that worked on the 205th Fireblade to ever come off of the production line, give them my details. Tell them I'd like a little word. Thank you. There's the metal washer and the spring from the pilot adjustment, and right inside of there is a tiny little O-ring that I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon trying to convince to come out. Anyway, thank you for watching.